think all of you are aware. The first one and the second one are related to how do we survive because of the NPA burden, credit issues, and how do we, and then of course the PCA. Now, because of the steps that government has taken, most of our banks are actually very healthy now. I think all of us know we have made the highest profits ever with the lowest gross NPAs and net NPAs. And we also, our professional managers, the bank recruitment process is much more professional now, much more learned, and much more dynamic compared to the past. I think all of them are actually showing results on the bottom line and the profits we are declaring. Now we felt, all the banking leaders, we all felt that now this is the time for India banking industry to take a leap of faith on the next phase of both reforms and lending. We want to become bigger. The Indian banks want to be bigger. And I think all of us know, in the top 10, we have only 2 Indian banks in the country, SBI and HDFC. I think we need much more. We are now currently 4th largest economy, and in the next year, we will be 3rd largest economy. But we have only 2 banks. And given our size of the economy and the credit requirements and the potential, I think all of you agree with me when we say that we deserve to be there. Our banks deserve to be there in the top 10, not just top 50. We have to be, at least 1 or 2 should be there in the top 10 in the world. I think that we need to work. There are so many, I think all of you are much more well informed. I'm not saying, so you know it can happen in several methods. And one is, of course, the growth, organic growth. We have a great potential. We need to do that. This is one issue. And then second issue is, while growing, we need to be very cautious to ensure the healthiness of the banks have to be protected. That's the first fundamental principle of a banker. We need to be ensure our banks are not over leveraged, and we are healthy, and our capital base is protected, so that we'll be able to provide security and assurance to the entire country that the banks are with the growth of the country.
Well, Mr. Nagaraju, you've given us a big headline, sir, so let me build a little bit on that. You said India aspires to have more banks in the top 10, so clearly the government is going to prioritize size, of course, along with healthy balance sheets as well, as you pointed out. What will the route be to be able to get to the top 10, sir? Is consolidation the preferred option? Is consolidation likely to be the route that the government takes, especially as far as putting the PSBs in the top 10 is concerned?
No, see, there are several routes the government can take. The first fundamental route is organic growth, as I mentioned. There is huge credit growth potential in the country, both in the MSME and startups, in the defense, in the infrastructure, power sector, RE. There are huge growth areas, including shipping, post-development, shipping, roads. We have huge the areas of potential. Now, we need to have right projects to come forward, and then I think the bank should be able to lend. We need to have a capital. And now, you know, this year, we are going to raise the capital 4 banks to also meet the SEBI guidelines below 75% of public shareholding. So that is one way of raising, so that when the capital is there, we will be able to lend more. And in this year, till now, our credit growth is also very high. I think because of last year's the profits the banks have earned, our credit growth is also very high. And we are very confident, given the low inflation numbers and then availability of the liquidity availability in the system, we want to lend more. Okay? That's the message we want to give to the country.
Sir, you sidestepped my question on consolidation. While I understand that the government wants banks to lend more, and that certainly is something that you're working towards, but what about consolidation, sir? Is that something that is actively being considered at this point in time?
We have consolidated all the rural banks. That I think you should have noted. From the 46 or 47 banks, now we are at 28. Now there is a one RRB, one state that we have successfully implemented. Now some of the RRBs now actually very big, especially RRB like UP, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat. These are big RRBs. They are also going to play important role. But I think the banks are now free. I think, the SBI is so big, banks are free and all of them are free. They can look at the ways of becoming bigger. Okay, this is a long-term goal. I'm not really talking in the short term. I'm actually talking about Viksit Bharat 2047. When we have this 100 years of India's independence, at that point of time, we need to have larger banks, bigger banks, banks with influence globally, and so that the India is able to play a bigger role in the global markets. Okay, I'm not talking about short term. I think, Shireen, that you have to give me that.
I think it's good that you've made that very clear, sir, to this audience as well as to the markets, because there's been a lot of speculation on how quickly the government was looking at consolidating. But let me address the issue of reforms, because as you said, it is no longer an issue of survivability or stability. You have ensured, and the banking sector has ensured both, especially as far as public sector banks are concerned. So what next, sir, then, as far as the reform agenda is concerned for the banking sector in the short term, in the medium term, in the long term?
Let me, since we all see, many of you are economists. In the long term, we're all dead. I will talk about long term. I'm not going to talk about short term. Okay, that is my tenure. Now, long term, I think the banks have to be. I would actually say that one, the goals of Viksit Bharat that the Honorable Prime Minister has repeatedly mentioned to the entire country, and the role of financial sector in meeting the goals, I think we have to keep that in the mind. I think that should be our objective. The financial sector or the banking sector, I truly believe that should be the primary focus or North Star for the banking sector, the goal set by the Prime Minister for 2047. That's one. For that, our credit to GDP ratio have to increase. Currently, we are one of the countries with the lowest ratio. I think we need to increase that credit to GDP ratio, at least 120, 130%, so that people who require credit is available. Now, the third pillar is the MSMEs. MSMEs, they are going to play a huge role in the country's development. MSMEs, we have to ensure they are productive and provide employment, and also ensure that they play an important role in the global export markets. For that, whatever we are actually supposed to do this. And the fourth important thing, how we converge the advantages of Fintech with the banking and the financial sector. We also need to harness the full potential of Fintechs, both to ensure financial inclusion goals, as well as to leverage the combined synergies for the more strengthened financial system.
I think you've articulated very clearly the priorities that the government has in the long term for the banking sector. Hopefully, many of those will happen in our lifetimes, not when we're gone. But since you raised the issue of MSMEs, an issue that is top of mind today in light of the tariff imposition by the US, the finance minister has also said that the government is working on putting together a package for exporters specifically. Any updates, sir, on when we're likely to see that fructify?
No, I think the finance minister, Honorable Finance Minister mentioned, government is working on that. More or less, we have finalized the elements of the support that is required, at least from the financial sector side. And then I think we hope this is quickly finalized. And as soon as it's finalized, I think everybody will know that. And the government is fully aware of the difficulties currently being faced by exporters due to the tariffs of America. And then we wanted to support that. On that, the government is very clear.
The government is very clear. The finance minister did say that the exporters will not be left, in her words, high and dry. Secretary, you said that we need bigger banks. Do we also need more banks at this point in time? What is the government's view on that? And if we do, what kinds of banks do you believe we need today to service the needs and the requirements for the India of the future?
I think, see, one thing we all, those who are connected with the financial sector, I think we all believe that we need to have bigger banks, that's one. And a country of size, again, I'm talking, we are, I think, this kind of population, this kind of trade growth potential, we also require more banks. On that, there is no doubt at all. The government is very clear that we also require more banks and also bigger banks. They are not contradictory, they all actually go together. Because we have about, let's say 300 to 350 million people. They have to be completely formalized to the financial system. And imagine that kind of number of people formalize, and then the kind of credit, the kind of the business, banking business that will be there. So the scope and area is huge for new banks also.
New banks also. So let me ask you a follow-up question, sir. The RBI's licensing policy, there hasn't been much change in the past decade as far as the licensing policy is concerned. Has there been any new, fresh dialogue with the RBI on that front?
I think we should have asked that question when the DG RBI was there.
But we can ask for the government's point of view, sir.
I think we'll leave that. I think we hope that RBI has, of course, laid out policy of granting new licenses and also transition of the small banks also. And we hope that now that maturity has come, I think RBI will take a call on that.
In light of the next phase of reforms that you spoke of, and one of the expectations which has of course been talked about for many, many years is whether the government will in fact look at bringing down its shareholding below 51%. You talked about meeting the SEBI minimum public float norms, but is there any active consideration at this point in time, sir, within the government to even consider the possibility of bringing the government's holding below 51%?
I think there is no, I don't think so. There is no proposal at all before the government to reduce that. They continue to be majority owned by the government because there is a public interest in government owning majority in the public sector banks. We are just not lending instruments, but we're also looking, the government is also doing a lot of trade to different neglected or under-serviced sectors, like education loans we provide, or KCC, Kisan credit cards we give, PM Swanidhi or PM Jivan Jyoti. These are all done because they are government banks. And we also, see, these are all not possible if they are private. So the government has an interest, in the interest of the national development, to continue to have majority shareholding. I think government stick to that.
What role do you see FDI playing in the banking sector, and do you believe that there is need for further liberalization as far as FDI in the banking sector specifically is concerned, sir?
No, I think, see, we know currently the existing limit we all know. I think we are actually thinking about it, but let's say in the public sector banks, whether it's possible or not, and the private sector, in any case, we have that is available. We have not taken, the government has not taken a view on that.
Not taken a view at this point in time, but could that
Correct.
be up for consideration anytime soon?
The government can always consider. See, there is no, government is the government. The government can always think and come up with new ideas. Okay?
No, fair enough. Let's talk about the GST, sir, because one of the concerns that has been raised specifically is by the insurance sector. One aspect that the insurance companies are raising is that they had priced in the ITC benefits into their policies already. So can you at least not make a consideration for the ITC benefits to stay in the policies that already are in existence, as opposed to the policies that will now be given out? So the retrospective aspect of the ITC benefits being done away with, could that perhaps be addressed?
Now, see, look, let me tell you, I had a meeting with all the insurance industry, both public and private, in fact, yesterday itself, and all of them have welcomed the GST input, zero GST on the individual insurance policies. And all of them have actually promised that they will pass on the benefits that likely to accrue due to GST. And the see, the past policies are one thing, and the future policies are they are very clear, and we have not heard much concern on the input tax credit as far as the GST in the insurance sector is concerned.
Okay. What about the insurance amendment bill, sir? When do we see that being moved forward?
The government is very keen to get it done as quickly as possible. Insurance last bill. In fact, insurance bill actually includes both insurance, IRDA, as well as LIC, all three together. Government is very keen, and we hope to have this in the winter session.
In the winter session itself. On the insurance sector, sir, consolidation, a possibility there, at least as far as the non-life insurers are concerned. Is that something that is up for consideration?
I think when the government decides, I think we to inform, we will inform, okay? Allow the government to do our own homework, and then we will come back.
I'm sure the government is doing a lot of homework at this point in time. So there was a poll here that Lata just did with bankers on whether they expect a rate cut, and the unanimous view was that they don't expect a rate cut, at least in the upcoming policy. What's the North Block view?
No, I think I don't speculate like bankers. They are entitled to speculate. But as Secretary in the Finance Ministry, I don't want to do that. I leave that to media and to Sherin Bond and all the participants.
Thank you for that. Mr. Nagaraju, you talked about profitability of banks, and it was a record year in FY25 for the banking sector specifically. Do you expect to be able to repeat that performance, sir? What's the indication?
As far as whatever the winds I'm reading, the leaves, I think this year also we are going to have record profits. Public sector banking. The first quarter was very good results.
I don't know if you can hear the applause, sir, but there's a loud applause in the room the minute you said that.
Yeah. And, I keep hearing, I keep traveling, I keep hearing different cross-section of people. A large number of people actually are very happy that public sector banks are doing extremely well. And the culture we are actually changing. The one fundamental principle we are doing is our culture. The amount of trust public sector banks enjoy among the Indian public is enormous. And they're happy that now they are actually responsive, very responsive. And the system they have improved, digitization has done wonders for them. In any case, the top management is very, very good, highly caliber, skilled, and they are very, very good decision makers. So this quarter also I'm expecting good profits so that the country will be happy with the performance of the public sector banks.
Most certainly, sir. The country and the shareholders will certainly be happy if it is going to be a record year, as you point out. Let me end by asking you, Mr. Nagaraju, you talked about the message to bankers. You also talked about banks lending more and the credit to GDP ratio. What is the near-term target that you're perhaps working towards, or the near-term aspiration that you're working towards, sir, when you talk about growth and the bank's ability to be able to fuel that?
See, we feel that the credit has to last year's credit we want to do better than last year's credit, okay, and especially the MSMEs we want to do it, and the agriculture sector we want to do well. Agriculture last year we did very well, and this year also we wanted to do well. And the other thing, which I think is not because it's not a corporate, we want to do well in the PM Vidya Lakshmi. We want to provide scholarships to every student that is admitted into colleges. And we are very keen we monitor, and then PM Vishwakarma, everybody, whoever has got skilling, if they want loan, we want to provide the loan to them. Because these are the critical, generally not highlighted or prominently looked at it. We want to provide that. So banks actually are our banks. Let me also use your channel to tell you, we have launched the financial inclusion campaign, saturation campaign from 1st of July. Now we'll be ending the 30th of September. In each village we are organizing for the Inactive accounts, PM Jandan accounts, we want to make active. And also all the PM schemes, PM Suraksha Bima Yojana, PM Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, and also we want to provide the unclaimed deposits of the banks. We want to give the money back. And this campaign we have launched entire country. I want to, the participating by the media should actually participate, promote, ensure that the people take the benefit of this campaign.
We've always done that at CNBC TV18, sir, and we will continue to do that. Let me end. You've got a captive audience here of bankers who are watching you. One last message that you'd like to send to them?
No. I think one last message to my banker friends is that while we are doing well, I think we should not be complacent. The world is very dynamic nowadays. We should keep our ears to the ground and keep our eyes open and absorb it, and then accordingly we should respond to the situation.
Mr. Nagaraju, what an absolute pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us a very clear path for India's banking sector and how the government intends to transform India's banking sector, not just in the near term, but with the target of what it aspires to put in place by 2047. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Financial Services Secretary, Mr. Nagaraju. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for so much. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Shireen, for that very candid, in place guarded, but yet optimistic chat that you had with Mr. Nagaraju.